Video games are finite state machines. Some of you will roll your eyes for how obvious this statement is, but you saw the title before you clicked. Others might not be familiar with the concept of a finite state machine. A finite state machine describes how software works. The idea is you have one state, an action is performed, and you move into another state. In particular, each state is made up of various data. Then when an action happens, that data is changed, moving into a new state. Let's say you go to the bank and open up a savings account. This is a state machine. You get a bank statement and it says you have $0 savings in your account and you have a 5% interest rate. This bank statement is your state, your savings amount, and your interest rate. Then you deposit $1. You get a new statement that says that you have $1 in your account and it has a 5% interest rate. This is your new state. You got to this new state with an action, the deposit. Finally, the end of the month comes and your account accrues interest. You get a new bank statement, $1.05 in savings, and 5% interest. The action this time was the month ending. Every time the month ends, the bank uses your savings amount and interest rate to determine your new savings amount. Video games are state machines too. For video games, a state lists everything that the game is thinking about at that moment. The states are described in programming, so they can be hopelessly complicated. You can still figure out a lot about a game's state just by looking at the screen, though. Take this state in Super Mario Bros., for instance. Right here, the state of the game contains Mario's position, Mario's size, the stage number, the camera position, the score, the time, your coins, and any enemies on screen. There are also plenty of elements in the game state that you can't tell just by looking. This can make it hard to talk about games, but the state describes every point of data that the game needs to know at any given time. For example, Mario has 3 lives here, but it's not on the screen. Plenty of actions can change this state. Some of it depends on player input. If you press A, Mario's position changes since he jumps. But games can change this state in a lot of ways on their own, too. If an enemy shows up, it needs to be described in the game's state. And when an enemy moves around the screen, this changes the state of the game. And because the game takes place in real time, the passage of time itself is an action that changes the game's state. The timer counts down, for one thing, and if Mario walks, the passage of time will determine his position. He'll continue walking over time as long as you hold the control pad, obviously. If you've ever used an emulator, you are evil. But also, this is why they're called save states. When you make a save state, the emulator saves the entire state of the game at that moment. That way, when you load up the save state, the emulator can take you back to the exact condition of the game at the moment that you saved. Also, don't get hung up on finite state machine versus state machine. They're used interchangeably and the difference is a matter of technicality.